Hi, I'm Danielle Gagne from Commercial UAV News. When we look at improving the numbers of women in the drone industry, we often look at the industry itself and whether there are systematic issues. But we are finding that the story is a bit more complicated than that. Many women just haven't looked towards jobs in STEM or aviation because this wasn't given to them as an option or possibility as young girls. In fact, many have been even discouraged from these fields in the past. So when we talk about improving the number of women working within STEM and the drone industry in particular, we are really talking about a long game that involves building awareness and interest in young girls. This is why I'm excited today to be speaking with Sharon Rossmark, CEO of Women in Drones, Brenda Wilson, President of Diehard RC, and Sue Bickford, CEO of New England UAV, to talk about their new project, 1,000 Drones for 1,000 Girls. Hi, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you talk about what the 1,000 Drones for 1,000 Girls project is and what led you all to develop it?
Sure, I can start out that question. And what happened was that all three of our organizations were going to be super busy this year. We had all kinds of projects lined up to advance getting drones into the classroom. And all of a sudden, in March, things started shutting down all over the place. And I'm thinking to myself, these poor kids, all of a sudden they're stuck at home. They have no opportunities for exciting programs in their schools. And I started to think about how we could change that situation. And one day I was going to walk the dog, and as I was leaving the house, I said to my husband, I need 1,000 drones. And he just laughed because he knows how these things work. And so I walked the dog and I started thinking about how to get drones, training drones, into the hands of all these students that were now being schooled from home, so that they didn't lose these opportunities. So I walked the dog, I came back in, and I immediately called Sharon up and I said, look, here's my idea, how can we go about that? And she just grabbed hold of that, and the two of us talked and started coming up with numbers, and then we brought Brenda into the conversation. And really what helped us a lot was that we had lost focus for the year, and now we had a focus on a special purpose.
Yeah. And it was awesome how it all just came together so smoothly. As soon as we all shared our ideas, it was just like it was meant to be.
And what's really been great about it is the collaboration. Each of our organizations bring a different strength, and we've been able to build upon that and just come together. And as they just said, the project just came together so smoothly.
That's wonderful. You're able to take that struggle and what are we going to do with ourselves and really turn it into something that has meaning and a way forward. So big part of your mission is to empower and inspire middle school girls to get involved with STEM and drone technology. What are some ways that the 1,000 Drones program will be able to fulfill that goal?
Well, let me step back from that question a little bit and just kind of frame for you where we see it going in terms of that question. If you look at information provided by the National Girls Collaborative Project and or the World Economic Forum and some of the studies that they've done, there's a huge opportunity to engage girls now in order to fuel that pipeline for work later. And I know we're going to get into some of that, but it's about women achieving economic equality. And collectively, we all agree that that's something that this project can contribute to. So we see this as a collaborative effort between our three companies, as well as an opportunity to contribute to the effort of fueling that pipeline. So while you've got these major organizations like the World Economic Forum, and they've done studies, and there are other organizations that have done studies, we see this as our way of contributing to that effort of helping to engage girls in STEM. And quite honestly, any number of careers, when you look at the various drone applications that have emerged over the last few years, any number of industries will be inclusive of drones in terms of their business processes. So whether a girl wants to become an attorney or whether she wants to work in marketing, understanding how drones work, understanding the applications, we see that this project will fulfill those goals in terms of just getting more girls in the pipeline, but getting them interested in STEM and aviation is where we really would love to see this go down the road.
Sure.
What are some of the ways that drones can teach students about STEM topics? And why is this important not only for the drone industry, but for STEM as well?
Well, I think drones are like the perfect tool to use in education because they incorporate so many different aspects of STEM. And in some instances, you can call it STEAM because you can add the A for art through video and, you know, photography and other types of production that you can do with the drones. There's just amazing. You can see things. I honestly see things now that some people have never been able to see before. I don't know if any of you saw the drone, the FPV fly through Rome. For FPV is first person flight, so they're flying the drone through goggles. So you're seeing through the front of the drone through a camera, and it's just like you're a bird flying through the air. And the video and the images that you get in those instances are just next level. It's really special. But besides that, drones in the classroom, you incorporate engineering and electronics and coding and soldering and mapping and project planning and developing. And on top of all of that, you're also including aviation and weather. And those are so many different aspects in one type of project where you can really engage the kids and find out where their passion lies. Drones just have a lot of different aspects from them to choose from.
And to build upon that, the other elements of where drones will help is in the cognitive development, as well as in problem solving skills, which is a different way of learning than what they may be doing traditionally. And so whether it's being added on to a robotics program or just a general STEM program, just to have access to that wide variety of learning opportunities just makes drone an ideal learning tool.
And they're just fun. The kids really get excited about them. You know, like somebody once told me that I was in this entrepreneur class and they said, but your business is just so sexy. And it's like people really get excited about drones, and it's a really good leader. And it really does get the kids excited about future technology too.
Yeah, when we're introducing it to teachers, we like to say, if you want to get a kid's attention, launch a drone in the classroom. Their eyes just light up and they get immediately excited.
So also this year, I was reading a book called 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. And the author talks about the 4 C's, and the drones hit every single one of them. Critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and I always forget that 4th one. Hold on, wait a minute. Creativity, the most important one of all. So I think drones hit every single one of those, and more companies are looking for soft skills and resilient students. And I think both of those really hit the mark with drone programs for girls.
Couldn't agree more. So what kinds of job experience will a program like this open up for girls once they start looking beyond this moment into at college and beyond college?
So first of all, we actually want them to go to college for drones. So we want more colleges to offer drone technology majors, and hopefully those instructors will be women, and it will just like snowball from there. So there are some very good drone colleges too. So one of the things I wanted to mention too was that I started out, my background is in geospatial technology. So I'm a map maker, and I'm always involved with remote sensing, and drones are very good remote sensing technology. And one of the things that's important to remember is that you don't need a drone job. You just need drone skills that you can apply to almost any job that you can think of. It's an ancillary skill that doesn't necessarily, you don't necessarily have to be even a drone pilot. You can still be involved in the industry in just a myriad of ways, really.
And it's a confidence builder, right? I think
Absolutely.
girls really need to find something that they are passionate about and that they find is next level, that they can kind of really sink their teeth into. And drones, there's so many different opportunities out there, that drones can save time and energy and provide safe aspects in that particular job. And so just having it and teaching that it's a tool, and allowing people to see it as such, that it is a tool that's going to help you just like your phone or your computer, and if you figure out how to use it, the world's your oyster.
And
One of
also,
the- Go ahead, Sharon.
okay, I was going to say, when you look at aviation, this is a great entry point for aviation. One, because of the low cost of barrier to get into aviation, but two, it demonstrates the newest technology, and drones are the fastest growing sector within aviation. So it also could lead to opportunities across the different facets of aviation.
And the last remark that I'd have about this question is that the four of us sitting in this interview cannot even imagine the jobs that fifth graders are going to be producing in the future. It is their creativity that's going to create the jobs and the applications for drones that we can't even imagine. Because when I was growing up, I could not imagine becoming a drone pilot. That was just not up there to think about. So I think that's an important point.
I want to add a story to that.
Go ahead.
I was teaching a class with it was fifth graders, and one of the things I love asking them to do after we do our seminar and kind of show them the drones and talk about drone jobs and what's out there, and we ask them, now that you kind of know what drones can do, I want you to come up with something that I didn't talk about that you think a drone could do. And we give them a time to work together, and they come up with ideas, and they have to draw a picture of it. And one of the coolest ideas that one of the kids had was a drone worm. It is a drone that would burrow through the ground, that could be controlled through a camera, so it could see in the ground, but then it could also test soil and test water and for bacteria and take samples. And I was like, wow. That's the kind of stuff, like, I would have never thought of that. Now I'm like, of course, that's a great idea. But they don't have like these blocks in their brain about what is possible. And that's what's exciting. If you give them tools and say anything is possible, what would you do with it? It's really cool to see what they come up with.
It is.
And that's what's going to drive us into the future, is innovation and looking at it from a different point of view.
That reminds me of a quick story. So in our classes, we will ask adults, and then when we're teaching children a similar question, we ask them, when we talk about package delivery by drone, immediately the kids can give you a long list of things that the four of us would never think of what they would like a drone to deliver. But when you ask the adult group, many times they have that roadblock that you were just talking about, Brenda, because in their mind, they see all the barriers to why it's not a good idea. And their list is either very short, or they don't come up with anything that hasn't already been talked about in the news. But the kids are very creative, and because they don't have that mental block of what's possible.
Yeah.
That's a really good point. And when I talk with a lot of industries, and just it's that level of entry. Once you get that drone in your hands and you start working with it, you start understanding what it can do, and then the sky's the limit. Even then, it starts opening up that creativity, even in adults. But I can't even imagine what young students can think about without any of that blocking them. So this sounds like a really great start. Do you have any future plans to expand or add or even develop similar projects as you move forward?
Yeah, it's great that you asked that question because Sue and Sharon and I have all worked on other projects together. And some of the things that we're working on right now is we're setting up projects to train first responders and dislocated workers due to the COVID-19 crisis. We feel, that there's a strategic opportunity right now to incorporate drones into our lives and improve the safety of the people in it. And I think it's important, just like I said, to get them out there and show them as a tool that they are, and try, to overcome some of the obstacles that people are facing right now with the stigma around drones. If you look at it as a tool and see what the possibilities are, especially around public safety and with fire and rescue and law enforcement and first responders, there's so much wonderful opportunity there to improve and save lives. And we want to work really hard together to not only, teach and share our love of drones with young girls and kids, but with veterans. Sue and I are both veterans, and we really strive to share kind of the passion that we have with all diverse groups and really improve the lives of people using drones.
We also see this as an opportunity to further our strategic relationships. So Women in Drones, we have a number of industry partners that we have strategic partnerships with, and one of them is drone responders, and you're probably familiar with them. And so we see this as an opportunity now to reach out to them and engage them to further this effort to exactly what we're doing. So we just see this as continuing to grow.
And it is amazing that the opportunities that just come your way without even seeking them. And one of the projects that I'm working on is bringing the drone industry and these STEM opportunities into indigenous tribes in the United States. So that's been a huge project, and we're gearing up for expanding that project beyond just a high school project into also the middle school and the community college of some Midwest tribes. So that's really unbelievable opportunity.
Wonderful. It's great to hear that this is just part of a big continuation of a lot of really important projects that are opening up drones to a whole bunch of different groups. So for people who are inspired by what you guys are doing and are interested in getting involved or developing something similar where they are, do you have any advice? Where have you been looking to get support for these types of projects?
Well, I'll take the initial part of that question. So a couple of things. Our advice would be contact us. They can start with Women in Drones, and we'll bring in the other two organizations and others as needed to expand and to collaborate. In terms of where we're looking to for support, everything from grants to any number of corporate partners that we all have collectively. That's where we like to start with, because what we're finding is that, as Sue just mentioned, it's amazing that once you start on this track, the number of people that will reach out and want to be a part of it and want to support you.
For sure. We're always looking for more support because we have big dreams and big projects in the plans. So if you want to help us out, we'd love to partner with your organization and help you to start your own project as well.
Another big area that I see that will help this project along is teacher professional training. So teaching the teachers how to bring it into the classroom, especially if they're sort of, leery about new technologies. We can show them how easy it is and the rewards that they will get from it. So teacher professional development is a huge stepping stone in this process.
For sure.
Excellent point. So for young girls out there and their parents who may be watching this video right now, who might be interested in something like this and getting involved or wanting to fly a drone, what's the advice you have for them?
So one of the things I like to say is that it doesn't really matter if it's drones or whatever else it is, but you really have to find your spark. And my spark in particular is handing a remote control to somebody and having them push the takeoff button and fly a drone for the first time. And the wonder and amazement in their eyes is like worth it all the way around. So I help spark another spark, and that just, it's like wildfire once it takes off.
And I think it's important to just put technology in kids' hands and make it very inclusive. I mean, look at what your children are drawn towards, and nurture that. You may find that your kids are really into drones, or they're into RC cars, or they're into robotics. It's trying different things and letting them learn and grow with that, and just providing opportunity, finding things in your local area around technology through Zoom, or there's so many free opportunities right now where if you just search for drone classes and youth, or you search some of your local youth groups, a lot of them are starting to incorporate STEM into their projects, and then find out what they're good at and what they enjoy, and just do more of that.
And I would add to that is to create that safe learning environment. Let them try it and fail without judgment. That is so key, particularly with girls. We see that in our training, that when you put the drone in their hands, for the boys, they'll just take it and fly it right up into the ceiling or right into the wall, and they go, yeah. And when the girls do it, some of them even start crying. And I'm talking about the younger girls, but they start crying because they think they're in trouble. They think they broke it. They think they did something wrong. When you stop the session and say, let's have a conversation about what happened, and help them understand what they need to do differently to keep the drone from crashing, and let them know that that happens, they feel so much better, and you can build that confidence within them. So having to remove those gender STEM stereotypes, I think, is so important by creating those safe learning environments. The other thing I would add is that for those dad girls, this is something that you can do with your daughters. One of the biggest compliments we have received multiple times are from dads that sent us a note that said, thank you for doing this and providing us examples of role models, because I was going out flying my drone by myself, and now that I see that there are women that are actually flying drones, I've been taking my daughter out because I see that I can present to them role models of other women that are doing similar type of activity. So I would say for those girl dads to get those drones in the hands of their daughters and go out there with them, and also for the moms, go out there with them.
That's right. That's right. Every time I take a controller out from a kid, I hand it to either the mother or the father too, just so that they have an idea of what's going on with it. So that's an excellent point too.
Well, and I think that's key, right? Because so my job, we have a remote control air park in the Seattle area, and our goal is to bring families here to play and learn together. And that's when I find kind of that spark for me, is when I see a mother and a father and their kids, be it a boy or a girl, all playing and learning together, working on drones or remote control cars or airplanes, but they're doing it together, and something really special happens when parents and their kids are working on projects together, and the kids just get so much confidence, and there's something that just happens, and that right there's a special moment, and that will stick with the kids forever, because they'll remember how they felt when they were creating something and they were working with technology. And that is what we strive in our programs, is to just build that comfort and that draw, and create passion for technology.
That's a really great point. You bring families in, and you have that family support from what you're doing, and I can also imagine that when you start talking about public acceptance and getting drones, that agenda of drones moving forward, and you start talking about how public needs to embrace this technology as a tool. having kids growing up side by side with drones and then bringing it to their parents and getting their parents excited about it. That must be a fundamental way of building that positive story about drones.
It is, because
Actually,
kids
my
don't have that stigma, right? They don't know that there's any type of negativity around drones. They just think it's super cool, so they want to be part of it.
one of my favorite things is to have students do a drone project and then present that project to a community as well. So that's another thing that just spreads really easily, is that once you get a community involved, then, and they see the beneficial uses of drones, it increases support for the school district, for everybody involved.
Yeah, especially when you have the kids teaching the class.
Yes.
I really try to have kids that we're mentoring that are teaching alongside of us, because it kind of break down the guard of any kids. If they're being taught by another kid, they just automatically are paying better attention, it seems. But it's also fun because it builds the confidence in the kids to become leaders themselves and you know, teach technology as they grow up.
Excellent points. Thank you. That's all the questions I have for today. Thank you all for joining us. This is really an
Our
exciting
pleasure.
subject. I'm looking forward to seeing how reports back on how this all turns out. Have a great day, and
Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle.
Thank you.